All right, so that's the level 3. So in summary, I don't think that the first language lessons would negate being able to do something like writing with ease or something else. Now for the level 2, it really does depend. So as I was editing the video, I realized that I failed to mention something that is very important to take note of before I can proceed. My views are based on how I use the curriculum, and I used it in such a way where the writing with ease and the first language lessons, the grade levels, they coincided. So when I was using level 1 in writing with ease, I was using first language lesson level 1. However, on the Well Trained My website, and I'm not connected with them, a student will not necessarily be in the same level of writing with ease as in first language lessons, the elementary grammar curriculum, or at grade level. So it is important to use this diagnostic tool. So based on if it is you did not go in order and you did use this diagnostic tool and you realize that your child would be in different levels based on where they're at, then of course that might change, the perspective altogether. So I just wanted to point that out. So basically what they have as a diagnostic tool is you're basically going to be using the evaluation at the end of each level as a means of figuring out where you should place your little one. So at the end of level 1 or year 1, I should say, whichever one you prefer, if they pass that level, they move on to the next level, and so on and so on. Also in the video I mentioned that on their website, in that same book, which is the hard copy of the Writing with Ease curriculum, they have recommended or suggested progression for writing after they are finished with Writing with Ease, and that is also on their website. So in the description box below, I would link to this just in case you are interested in checking it out for your own self. But I just wanted to point that out because that also would affect your view on if it is you think that you need to choose just the first language lessons, with the Writing with Ease, or a combination, or something, separate altogether. So anyway, I'm going to continue with the video now. Hi, in this video, I am going to be attempting to respond to a question that I got on a recent video. And that is, if I think that the Copywork, Dictation, and Narration that is within the first language lessons, levels 2 and 3, if it is sufficient enough and challenging enough to negate having to purchase or do the Writing with Ease levels 2 and 3. Now, I first want to put a disclaimer. I am not a teacher. I am just a homeschool mom trying to figure this out. I am in no way trying to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. I'm just going to be sharing my opinion. So please take it with a pot spoon of salt. So I just wanted to say that. Now, before I, talk about the actual curriculum levels 2 and 3 for first language lessons and Writing with Ease, I just wanted to share this. Now, this is not new to the homeschool community. This is actually the Writing with Ease curriculum all in one book. This has all 4 levels. The only difference between this and the actual student pages that you get with the Writing with Ease together with the teacher's manuals is that you have to do just a little bit more planning with this. If you chose to go with the hard copy version, it has all 4 years included, with some weeks mirroring exactly how it is in the fully planned out curriculum. The difference is that you would have a few weeks where you would actually have to do some of the planning for yourself, and of course using the weeks that's included as a guide for you. So for example, this is year 2 and this is week 28. You have your story followed by the questions, and if you look in the fully printed out version of the curriculum, it mirrors the exact same pattern. However, you would have weeks within each year because it follows the exact same pattern. You would have several weeks at a time where you would just be given guidelines as to the topic areas that they want to focus on for that particular week, and then you would find stories that you would use for dictation and narration exercises using the examples that's included before in the previous chapters to help guide you for some of those weeks. So if we look here, this is year 4, and looking at week 15 through 17, as you can see, it just gives you guidelines, but there is no actual exercise in this hard copy version. However, of course, if you go to the same week 16 in year 4, of course, you have the dictation exercise already printed off for you, and then the student pages, so that your little one can just go ahead and complete it. So, of course, this is an option that you can choose as well. It's just that, you know, you would be required to do a little bit more planning. So it's totally up to you and, you know, what route you think would be most preferable for you. Of course, you can choose to go with Writing with Ease, or you can choose to go with another curriculum. You can choose to go with this Writing with Ease version, whether you get it on Amazon or you could try to get it, you know, like at a discount, because I saw some pretty good prices. That is definitely an option. But also, if you did not mind doing a little bit of planning on your own, quite honestly, you can pull, like, from stories that you want to, you can pull narration exercises based on stories that, say, you and your child enjoy doing, and also do copy work from that, and dictation exercises, and, you know, start off with simple sentences and then probably, you know, progress from there. However, if you go with something like Writing with Ease, of course, it's all done for you. Now, when I first started homeschooling, and I expressed this in my last video, I chose the route with all or most of my curriculum where I had to do as little setting up or planning as possible, because when I first started, not only was I a new homeschool mom, I was new to the country, I was new to the homeschool system. There was just a lot of new that I had going on at the time. So I wanted things to just be like as open and go as much as possible. So I actually discovered this after I got this curriculum, and I had purchased it just to, you know, just to kind of, I guess, see what the difference is. And it is basically the exact same curriculum. The narration exercises are the same. The copywork exercises are the same. As I said, the only difference is that this is, you know, it's just you open it out and all the pages, everything is there already. The one addition, well, actually you could find this on their website, I believe, but in here they also have like a progression suggestion. Like if you wanted, after the Writing with Ease curriculum, they have like suggested curriculums that you can, or routes that you can go down if you so choose. Now I decided to go in a slightly different route, only because even though I do enjoy, and I enjoyed the Writing with Ease curriculum, and I enjoyed the challenge that it provided one of my kids, the stories in particular, I have to be honest, even though she enjoyed a lot of them, there were quite a few that, you know, not so much. Also, I don't even know if the curriculum that we have, you can necessarily say that the stories are relatable, but that was something that I was trying to see if I can find something where the stories was a little bit more relatable. Didn't find that, but I did find in the curriculum, the writing curriculum that we decided to go to do now for middle school, she actually really enjoys that curriculum. So I just wanted to insert that there, that they do have a progression that you can follow if you know, so choose. All right, so in my humble opinion, I would say that the story narrations or narration and dictation that's within the first language lessons, it does not negate needing a separate writing curriculum, whether it be Writing with Ease in this format, or whether it be something like this, or even another writing curriculum. And I'll just give a few points to support why it is I feel the way that I do. All right, so it was easier for me to make a decision on the level 3, so I'll speak on that one first. I think that the dictation and narration exercises that it has in the Writing with Ease level 3 is significantly more challenging than the examples or the few narration and dictation exercises that it has in the level 3. The level 3 first language lessons really does delve deep into like more advanced grammar terms, and it really focuses on memorizing those definitions, but also practicing those grammar terms by, you know, incorporating it into a lot of sentence diagramming. Now, it does have a few narration exercises, not a lot actually in this level 3. One thing to note though is that I think they're all factual narration exercises, so they would be learning a couple facts, but it's still not enough to negate the amount of narration and dictation that they will be doing in the level 3. Plus, as you will see soon in the video, in the little sample that I would show, the dictation exercises that they are required to do in this level 3 is pretty challenging. Now, I just want to insert here and say that over the years, I have had to adjust my expectations of what it is I expect of each of my kids based on what they are able to do, because I initially was expecting them to all, looking at just writing, to all respond to writing, if not the exact same way, in a very similar way. And I quickly learned that that was not going to be the case. So even if I was used, I will not expect that from every single one of my kids. However, that challenge is available in here and it's done for you, and you don't need to do it yourself. But you know, now at this stage in my homeschooling, it's not something that I would shy away from, but you know, I already went down this route. I already have it. So I'm just going to use this that I have here. All right. So that's what I would say with regards to that. Now, I also want to say that, you know, I try to look around at whether it be other homeschool moms, also those who were like teachers prior to becoming homeschoolers. And I use, like, I really like this home learning year by year as a reference. Also this, what your kid needs to know. This has been such a help for my homeschool journey based on where I started. I have the second, well, I have the entire series, but on my desk I have the second, third and fourth for right now. And I use that to try to help me to gauge what it is I should be expecting of them, whether they be in elementary years or middle school years. Oh, and I also have the California Common State. I know everybody don't feel, well, that's a different story. But this one is the California Common Core State Standards. I also have this. I have the math one as well. So I use those to kind of help me to, you know, gauge what it is I should be trying to expect from them, because I'm not a teacher, so I'm just trying to get help. And based on that, I think that this level 3 is really, yes, it is a stretch and it is challenging, but it definitely helps them to meet the expectation, if that makes sense. So I just don't know if there is enough standalone narration and dictation in the first language lessons. I think that you would have to incorporate some more in there. Before I get to the level 2, I also wanted to add that I like the fact that it have a lot of stories inside the Writing with Ease, since that's the writing curriculum that I use, because it helped, because at that time I was not using a standalone reading comprehension like curriculum or resource. Yes, we were reading stories and they go to the library all the time, but we weren't necessarily doing like a lot of reading comprehension as yet, especially since I knew already that that child at that time, she didn't really need it. We are doing one now that she is in middle school. But the stories in here, I believe it kind of helps them practice that reading comprehension. Yes, they're not really identifying like personification and metaphors and all of those different things, but just the fact that they're always, whether they're listening to you reading a story or they're reading it along with you, of course together with whatever stories or books that they read on their own, it's that constant practice of reading a passage and being able to, you know, digest or understand what it is they read and recall it to you, and indirectly they are identifying, you know, or is this animal personified, or is this, you know, like a metaphor. They are being it is being presented to them, but indirectly. And I bring that up to say that if with the amount of stories that's in here, they have more practice with that as opposed to the stories that's in the first language lessons. It's just not that much within that curriculum by itself. I think that it would require you to get some other supplement, in my humble opinion. All right, so that's the level 3. So in summary, I don't think that the first language lessons would negate being able to do something like writing with ease or something else. Now for the level 2, it really does depend. Again, based on, you know, what might be, you know, what is required of an elementary child. Also, what your expectations are of, say, a child, let's say, probably doing the level 2, whether they be in 2nd or even probably 3rd grade or an advanced 1st grader. It really does depend on what you expect of your child and also the challenge that they are able to withstand. And the reason why I say that is that even though I feel a very similar way, I don't think that it has as much narration and dictation within the first language lessons as it does in the writing with ease. I don't know if I feel as strong that you definitely need a standalone writing curriculum when it comes to the level 2. And that's just my opinion. Now, that being said, I do want to point out that there are significantly less story narrations within the first language lessons than within the writing with ease. However, there's quite a bit of dictation. Yes, it's not as challenging as that is presented in the writing with ease, but you know, it's not too little, so to speak. All right, so the story narrations, there's only 7 out of 100 stories in the first language lessons level 2, compared to 71 stories out of 141 in the level 2. So there's quite a bit of story narrations in the level 2. Now there's a few picture narrations as well in the first language lessons. There's only 6 out of 100. I don't know if that's necessary, to be quite honest. Because if you read to your child or your child reads at all and they're reading storybooks, indirectly, in my opinion, they are looking, because I see my children do it, that whilst they're reading, they're looking at the picture and they're reading the story and they are, you know, like they may be saying, oh, this is why the character is doing this. So indirectly, they're always practicing picture narration, sorry. But that being said, there's 6 within the first language lessons. There is none in the writing with ease level 2, but I don't really see that as an issue. Now, when it comes to dictation, there are 28 dedicated dictation exercises within the first language lessons out of 100. Whereas with the writing with ease, there's 79 out of 141. And a lot of the dictation in the writing with ease, some of it has a bit of narration coupled with it, where by the time they get to, I believe it's like the middle of level 2, probably around level, what lesson was it? Was it 24 or 27, somewhere around there? They stop doing copywork and instead they narrate, and then out of that narration they do dictation. So they sort of start to couple narration and dictation somewhere within level 2 in the writing with ease. So there's a lot of dictation and narration practice within this level 2. So as I said, it really does, for the level 2, it really does depend on what your expectations are of your little one, how much of a challenge you would like to present to them when you think about what they're supposed to be doing in the elementary years and how much planning you want to be able to put forth. And of course, you know, price and cost. I would say that there's a lot more, you know, leeway when it comes to the level 2, but the level 3 probably you definitely want to look at getting something like a standalone writing curriculum, even in this elementary stage, in my opinion. Now I'm just going to show a little sample to support why it is I said what I said, and also I'll just come and wrap it up in the end. Also, I thought I addressed Copywork, but I think I forgot. In my humble opinion, I think that it really doesn't matter whether it be first language lessons, writing with ease, or something else. Once they are practicing, you know, you could just get them something that you enjoy reading, or that they enjoy reading, and have them do a little bit of copywork here and there. I think that it really doesn't matter if they use this or something else. Now I would say that when I used the first language lessons level 1, I did use the copywork that was within the writing with ease as a means for them to practice handwriting. So that's something that, if that's something that you wanted to do, that's something to consider. But outside of using it for handwriting, I really don't think that it matters. After level 1, once like their handwriting has improved, I skip a lot of the copywork unless I really think that it's going to help. So just wanted to address that part of the question as well. All right, so this is a sample dictation exercise from the first language lessons level 3. And this is lesson 51, and you will see soon why it is I chose for her to skip this dictation exercise. Now, you had a choice from these two sentences based on, of course, what expectations you had from your little one at that stage, and also what challenge they were able to take on. Of course, I think the focus was more on them being able to pick out the prepositions in the sentences or sentence, whichever route you chose to go with. And then, you know, you had the option of dictating the sentences for them after. So the focus was more on them being able to pick out the prepositions. Now, one, because she was not having much issues with that at this stage, and also when I look at week 7 of the Writing with Ease level 3, I would, in my opinion, I think these two sentences are a lot more challenging earlier on in this book. So because of that, I did not see the need for her to do dictation in here. A lot of times moving forward, because it started to become busy work. Plus at that stage, I, by my second or third years, when I, you know, started to get a little bit more comfortable with starting to take little bits, leave little bits out without feeling as if I was, you know, not using the curriculum properly. But anyway, so that's a comparison of the first language lessons level 3, comparing the dictation offered there with the dictation that was offered in the Writing with Ease at level 3. All right, so for the level 2 first language lessons and Writing with Ease, I'll be using samples from the end of both curriculums, since if I think about how I use it with my own daughter at the level 2, even though she could have taken on that challenge, my expectations of her were a lot different than they were when she had got into using the level 3. And I will show you that when I get to the Writing with Ease, because I actually used to, you know, go through and skip some of the, you know, optional exercise, well, some of the exercises. Anyway, for the dictation in the first language lessons level 2, these were the 3 combination of sentences that you had an option to choose from. Of course, based on your expectations and also what challenge they were able to take on. And when I compare that to the Writing with Ease level 2, that's around the same time, the end of the curriculum, these were the sentences that she had to recall after having it read to her 3 times, sorry. Level 2, at this stage, we're reading it to them 3 times. Now, I do recall taking my very time when I was reading it to her and pausing, trying to make sure I'm paused properly and really give her ample time to try to get it, you know, correct. So I'm just being, you know, open with that. But even with saying that, you know, the complexity of the sentences, comparing it just to this, if you were using these, of course, and also the amount of punctuations that was included in here also increased that challenge. As I was saying earlier on, when she was at this stage, we would go through and skip like some of them because she was at, you know, but I used it when she was in grade 2. And if I thought that it would have just been too much, sometimes we would just skip some of them, especially if it is, I did not think that it was causing her any issues. But anyway, so that is comparing the first language lessons level 2 to the Writing with Ease level 2. All right, so this is a sample narration from the first language lessons level 3. So they are learning a bit of random facts about beavers and how they build their dams. So if you have a little one that has an interest in beavers, I guess that's some cool random facts for them to learn. Now, the style of narration and like how they are to answer the questions at the end of the narrated piece, it's very similar to how they respond at after a narration or a story in Writing with Ease level 1, where they are required to answer incomplete sentences, basically like 1 or 2 line sentences. Now you do have some choices of what you can do with that, you know, at the end of the story, where you can either just write down their narration in their workbook, you can write it down and have them copy it, or you can even use it as dictation. I chose to just, this is one of those lessons I did not chose to just skip, and that is because this is lesson 36 level 3, whereas week 9 in the Writing with Ease, this is the story that I read to her, and then she had to try to say it in her own words. Now I want to point out as well that in the level 3, also actually even in the level 2, they are actually also practicing summarizing, which is not something that they are addressing here, because of course this is heavily focused on just grammar, which is a sprinkle of narration and dictation inside of there. But here in this level 3, the focus is for them to really practice the art of summarizing, something that my daughter that I use this with up to this day, she still don't like summarizing. But anyway, so inside, the story that she is using or listening to, in the Writing with Ease level 3, it's a lot more challenging, and you know, she has to practice summarizing that story. And then of course I wrote it down for her. Now I also want to be open and honest and point out that some narrations, you know, I had her write it down, like this is a dictation, but some of the narrations, like I would have her write it down herself, you know, if it is I thought that she can do it, right? So, but if it is like we were sitting down and doing it together and she wanted me, like that day she was a little bit, probably she didn't feel like writing, for the narration exercise I would write it out. Now you are expected to write it out yourself, but I'm just, you know, being transparent and say that sometimes I even had her write out her own narrations. But of course it depends on, you know, the child that you are using it with, of course. So anyway, so that is the sample of a narration exercise for the level 3, and this is Writing with Ease narration exercise for the level 3. All right, so this is a sample narration exercise from the first language lessons level 2. This is towards the end of the book, lesson 99. So it was some of these stories in here, I just want to point out that we really enjoyed when we were reading the level 2, because the little moral at the end of the stories was, you know, kind of fun, especially at that stage. But anyway, so this was a sample story from the level 2, and again the answer, the way how they required to answer at the end is to try to respond in complete sentences. And of course you encourage them or help them along if it is they're having issues, and it takes a very similar style to actually the Writing with Ease level 1. They're not practicing any summarizing, they're not introduced to it or anything like that. It's just totally focusing on them being able to like respond to simple narrations in complete sentences. With the Writing with Ease level 2, and again towards the end of the book, this was actually the story for the evaluation. This was Peter Pan, so they had to listen to the story, and then in addition to responding, you know, like answering you know, simple 1 or 2 line responses in complete sentences. They also had to summarize the story in the end, and then you write down their narration, which is what I did here. And then you choose, you know, some sentences from that narration, however they summarized it, and you have them dictated for the evaluation in the end there. So even though it does have a little bit of narration in the level 2, it is a lot less than what it has in the level 2 of the writing with ease. Also, the writing with ease, at this stage, they were already being introduced to summarizing. Now you were encouraged to like use certain sentences that the curriculum laid out for you to help them along at this stage in building the skill of summarizing. So the expectations was not the same as probably what you might expect of a little one trying the level 3. But they were introduced to summarizing in the level 2. So anyway, so that's a sample of narration in the first language lessons level 2, comparing it to the narration that was in the writing with ease level 2. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. In my humble opinion, I don't know if there is enough dictation and narration built into first language lessons to totally do away with a writing curriculum. Maybe in the very early stages, especially in grade 1 and grade 2. My perspective now is so much different than when I first started. I was trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink into my homeschool into our homeschool curriculum, but that's a whole different story. You live and you learn. Anyway, so when it comes to like level 1 and even maybe level 2, you know, I do think that maybe you can just get away with first language lessons and then throw in your own copywork for sure, and even dictation and narration, but probably might want to go with something a little bit more structured by the time you move on to level 3. I try to show a little bit of a sample so that you can see if you think complexity that level 2 and 3 that it offers in the writing curriculum, if you think it's worth it, or if you think it would be better to just make up your own stuff, or even go with something like this, or probably a totally different writing curriculum to go with the first language lessons. Because even though some of the stories do tie in, and even with the level 3, some of it even ties in with story of the world, but you don't have to use them together. Hopefully that was helpful. If you happen to watch the video this far, thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments to share, maybe I got something wrong, maybe you wanted to add to what it is I had to say, anything, feel free to comment below and I will try to respond as soon as possible. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I will talk to you in another one. Bye.